Hi, my name is Tami. My family and I are missionaries in Peru, and I wanted to share with you a reflection that I had from the gospel this Sunday, for Gaudete Sunday, in John. And I was thinking about God's promises to send us someone. And right away in verse 6, this is chapter 1, it starts out by saying, "A man named John was sent from God." And normally we think of God sending us his son, but he also sends us other people. He sends us the prophets. And in verse 21, when the priests are asking him, who is he? When they're asking John, who is he, when he's baptizing people, they ask him specifically, are you Elijah? And he said, no, I am not. But I chuckle when I read that, because we know in Matthew's gospel in chapter 11, Jesus says in verse 14, and if you are willing to accept it, he, John, is Elijah, the one who is to come. And then again, in his transfiguration in chapter 17, Jesus says in verse 12, Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him. Speaking, of course, of John the Baptist. And so when I was reflecting on this week's gospel, I found it interesting that John says the same thing about Jesus. In verse 26, he says, I baptize with water, but there is one among you whom you do not recognize, the one who is coming after me. And so there's this theme of God sending us someone, sending us his son, and sending us the prophets, and people aren't recognizing them. And I see the same thing in my own life, how God has sent me people that have given witness to him, and I didn't recognize them. So one example that stood out to me right away was before we entered missions, shortly before, my husband got a call from one of his cousins who had been in prison for a number of years, and he had gotten out a few months prior, and he called reaching out for help. And he lived in a different state and was talking about how he knew he needed to leave that area in order to change his life, because he just went right back into the same circle of friends and was having a really difficult time. And so my husband approached me and said, I think we need to open up our home to him. And that was a hard thing to pray about, because that was going to be really difficult to open up my home to somebody that I didn't know and my kids didn't know. But there was a peace in saying yes to that was what God wanted us to do, to open our home to me, the stranger. And it was incredible how God worked through that. So his cousin came, and he came with his girlfriend. They came to stay with us for a number of months, and they talked about how they had really experienced and seen evil in the lifestyle that they were living, and it scared them. And so they came and lived with us, and they were hungry for the gospel. They were hungry for Jesus. We would spend hours staying up late at night talking about scripture and talking about Jesus and talking about church and what it means to be a Christian. They would come to Mass with us. The very first week, they came to Mass with us. Neither of them were Catholic. And his girlfriend had a profound experience at Mass, was moved to tears, experienced Jesus in a profound way at Mass. And so looking back at that, I recognized that was Jesus coming to my home as a stranger. And we, especially our children, we loved them, and the kids loved them with such a pure and innocent love. They didn't look at them seeing what adults see, that they come from a hard life, that they've lived a rough life. The kids didn't see that. They just saw these two people that they loved. And I think it was that alone was very powerful for them, to be loved by our kids, as if they were their own family, and they are family. And I guess the other thing that I was thinking about with Jesus coming to visit me is now being on mission, and we go to people's homes and do home visits when someone is sick, or just to visit somebody in their home if they can't get out. And I was really surprised at how profound that was for me, walking into people's homes that might look like the ones behind me. Other people live in mud homes and they have mud for their floors, dirt floors. And I was surprised at how, when I visited these people and came into their homes, I felt like I was visiting Jesus himself and was entering into his humble home. And even still, it just moves me so much that Jesus is coming to me through these people. And I was not expecting that. I guess years prior, I did not have a heart for the poor. I didn't think about the needs of the poor. And it cuts me to the heart because I realize now that was Jesus. All of those people that I didn't pay any attention to were Jesus, and I didn't recognize him. So for this God at Sunday, I encourage you to look at your life and look at the people around you, and if there's anyone who's afflicted, anyone who's suffering in some way, or someone who has been on your heart and you just haven't wanted to call or wanted to reach out, I encourage you to reach out to these people because they are Jesus and you just don't recognize it. God bless you.